great. Thank you.
I'd like to say something about the instruments I was playing there. I'll bet there's some flute players here in the room today. If you were playing the flute at a school of music or in a band or an orchestra or any kind of ensemble 150 years ago, you'd play one like this, not the modern flute. This would have been the concert flute of the mid-19th century. The modern flute wasn't fully developed by that time. So it is indeed made out of wood, and it has a tapered bore rather than a cylinder like the modern flute. And my fingers are over the holes. It's fully chromatic, but the keys are distributed around the sides of the holes. And so my fingers are right over the holes so I can do the embellishments and the grace notes that make traditional Irish music in particular sound Irish. And then I was playing a type of whistle here, and I'm sure you can tell this isn't a tin whistle, but it is a whistle made out of a synthetic type material. But when you're playing traditional instruments, especially in newly composed music, sometimes the keys of the music don't fit with the traditional instruments. Here is a regular Irish tin whistle that is made out of metal. But sometimes you have to go for other ones. So this one is in a lower key, and it is plastic.
And it's, for me, it's a lot of fun. Being Australian, I didn't grow up with the tradition of Irish music. I didn't actually like Irish music in Australia because there were so many really sucky Irish bands. But going to Ireland, I got into playing with the traditional musicians. I got to love it. In the west of Ireland, it's like the tunes come out of the rocks, you know, like an old fellow would get up at a session and play a tune that he got from his father, who got it from an uncle, who got it from his grandfather, you know, like it just goes back so far, and it has such a depth of meaning to it in that place. So I came to love it. But in the compositional process, because I compose music for the Irish goddesses. It's just natural that I would work with Irish musicians and Irish instruments. And the lovely thing about working with Laura is that she's an Irish orchestra all in one. Among many other reasons, I love playing with her. So keeping to the Far Eye Suite, we'll play the movement for Ulster in the north, and a lot of people have heard about Ulster and the Troubles and whatever. The sovereign goddess of Ulster is Mocha, and her principal place of residence is a place called Ewan Mocha, just out of the town of Armagh in County Armagh.
I'll describe this first.
Yep.
So, before we play, though, I'll describe this instrument here that I'm strapping on. I strapped on a bellows. It's an air pump, and this is called a border half-long bagpipe. It's not the Irish pipe, the uilleann pipes, which people are really familiar with these days because of all the Riverdance productions and all the soundtracks and things that uilleann pipes are on. But this version is actually from the lowland and border region of where Scotland and England meet. But again, Garry adapts some of his music to the instrumentation of the musicians he's working with.
Yeah, I love that. The music's flexible enough just to allow any musician that comes in it. I invite it. I love other musicians bringing their bit of magic and their individuality to it. So, in some of these pieces, Laura has just come up with her own melody lines for parts of it, and I really enjoy that. So the piece keeps evolving and changing. Okay. Ulster. Thank you.
I just want to say something about these pipes. You're only hearing the chanter, which is the melody pipe that I finger. I don't know about you, but for me, it doesn't sound like bagpipes unless you have the drone. But in these modern times, sometimes pipes are made with a little switch that can turn the drones off. So sometimes you need to do that in modern music. But I'm just going to give you a little sound of these with the drones turned back on. There's the drones. Anyway, that sounds more like a bagpipe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. When I was first composing the piece and I was working with a young Irish Ellen piper, and he'd gone through the whole cultus, the traditional, very strict traditional approach to music. I really thought I was getting him into a lot of trouble. I think I was going to set him adrift without the oars. He seemed to have survived. So I'm just wondering, maybe we'll take some questions if anyone's got any questions. Yeah.
Where did I learn to play the bagpipes? Well, first of all, right now I actually play about a half a dozen different types of bagpipes. Some French pipes and medieval pipes and these, and some Scottish small pipes, some other bellows and mouth-blown pipes. But I did start on the most common one, the Highland pipe. And I took lessons from a wonderful kind of retired military piper at the end of a little lane off an ancient road in Edinburgh, and I was very lucky to do that. But for me, that's a very soloistic instrument, the Highland pipe, so that certainly wouldn't mix like with Garry here on stage. You either play it solo or play in a pipe band. And my reason for getting so deeply into traditional music was because it had this sociable factor to it and this informality where you could just sort of get together and play with other people. The Highland pipes didn't work for that. So I went on to the Scottish small pipes, which is bellows blown and very, very quiet, a very sociable instrument. And I learned that in Scotland. I've had the privilege to learn from most of the people who made my pipes. I've actually learned the instrument from the maker. So.
Any other questions? Yeah.
The drone is constant. Yep, once you've got them tuned to the, the tonic note, it's usually to the 6-finger note of the instrument. The drum note, though. You can't change the drum. Well, you can tune it a little bit, but you can't. They usually won't tune so far to go even, they could go a half step maybe. So you can play with them a little bit, but that's about it. That's about as far as they'll go. Yeah. Uh-huh.
When you were going through Ireland, you said you met a lot of musicians and kind of got a lot of ideas or song ideas from them. Would you, and put them into your current projects, would you just rehash melodies with like chord structures, or how did the songs you heard affect your music and the melodies you created?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it was just more of an organic soaking in. Like I didn't consciously use any tunes or even suggestions of tunes. Most of the music that I've written is actually written for a place or a person, and so I try and just let what comes for that particular situation come. And of course, we stand on the shoulders of many, many people, and we've all heard lots and lots of music. So there's nothing really original in the end of the day. There's 12 notes, and so it's just. I try consciously not to copy anything, obviously, but of course, how do you know? Yeah.
There's no dynamic control over the bagpipes. It's one volume. But you can fool yourself and your listeners by the amount of vibrato, either kind of shaking it or a finger vibrato. Of course, you can't do like a wind player's, breath vibrato, or the ornaments you put on it. So you give it its shading and dimension with the ornaments and the vibrato rather than dynamics.
How did you end up making Irish folk music after growing up in Australia? I guess basically, if Irish music didn't interest you when you were growing up, how did you end up in Ireland making Irish music?
Well, I went to do a 3-month tour with a group from Australia, or a 3-piece, harp, guitar, and violin, and he also played didgeridoo. And that was original music that we took over. Because the harp player wrote the pieces, and she was into Irish music, they had an Irish flavour. But when we got to Ireland, like I said, it was a 3-month tour, but I ended up there 10 years. I didn't actually leave. And in the west of Ireland, the traditional music is very, well, all over Ireland it's strong, but in the west of Ireland, what's called the Gaeltacht areas, the Irish-speaking areas, it's very, very strong. And so I just got to really love the music. But I wasn't composing, in my mind, I wasn't composing Irish music. I wasn't composing jazz or classical or anything. I was just, the tunes would come, the melodies would come, the chord progressions would come, whatever. And I would work with Irish musicians, and, I'd give them a melody, and then they'd say, oh, well, sure, maybe it needs to go a little bit like this, and they would bring their way of playing to it with the ornamentation and the emphasis and all of that sort of stuff. So I wasn't consciously writing Irish music. It just sounds that way. Yeah, I like, personally, I like, harmonies and counterpoint, and in Irish traditional music, it's everybody's basically playing the same tune, with some variations and ornamentations. So, I mean, whilst I love playing Irish music, my musical love is fiddling with things and, tacking bits on and arrangements and all that. I started playing when I was 9 years old, and I used to steal into my brother's bedroom, and he had an old, it was a Jason, I think, a jazz guitar, F-hole, jazz guitar, and it had 2 strings on it. I played that for a good while until I broke one of the strings, then I got into big trouble. So I thought I'd get I got a nylon string guitar. Yes? Practice? Me? What? Well, the one thing about this is that for all intents and purposes, I'm musically illiterate. I mean, I can read music, but it sort of hurts my brain. And so, I play with sounds. And it's something, now I'm really feeling the need to learn more because I want to get into orchestration. I really just play with sounds, and so when I'm messing around, when I'm composing nowadays, I mean, I have the software, and I've got a great sample library, and so I can hear it, and then I just mess around with it, and I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I don't know how we are for time.
We've got plenty.
Oh my goodness. We'll play, okay, what we'll do, we'll play the last movement of the Fire Eye Suite. This is for the goddess Eru, and as I said, her seat is this sacred central hill in the centre of Ireland called Uisneach. And just quickly, there would be, on this sacred central hill, historically this has been noted, but it's also in the myths, there would be a huge fire lit on the top of this hill. And you can see hilltops in most of the counties of Ireland from this one hill. So there would be answering fires to this fire, and then answering fires to those fires until the whole island, right out to the shores, was covered with a network of fires, all connecting back to this sacred central hill and the sovereign goddess. And she represents the spirit of the land. And for me, I play this music to sort of, apart from the fact that I just love playing, when we perform, I talk a bit about our relationship to the earth and how we've moved away from this sort of intimate relationship with the earth, and that for 4,500 years, there's archaeological evidence that for 4,500 years, these fires were being lit in honour of the spirit of the land. And so I play this music to remind myself and to remind people that there is another way, there is a closer way that we can relate to the land. And that's very important to me these days. So this is for the goddess Eru. Thank you. Did you want to? Oh, I don't know what to say now.
The last, mean this? Or the big one, the bag, yeah. Oh, right, yeah. I did have the opportunity to. It's got an odd name, border half-long bagpipes with that big, huge chanter. Half as long as what? I don't know.
I've seen something in Subway like that.
Yeah, but it's actually, I have to tell you, almost a secret. It's really from the English side of that border of Scotland and England. The English have bagpipes too. They do.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We love your questions.
Yeah. If you have any more questions, please do.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the tuning on your guitar? Well, this is an open C tuning, so E, C, G, C, G, C. So it's down 2 whole tones on the bottom string. So yeah, I tend to sort of thump a lot, but it can razz very easily if I'm not careful. Yeah, I use a lot of open tunings because I like the fullness of it. You know, I like that tuning because it's deeper and gives a fuller sound. Yes.
On the big flute, the big old one,
Uh-huh.
are you only using finger vibrato and then also are you using the
Oh, well, I use both. The traditional musicians will pretty much only use the finger vibrato, but since I get the opportunity to do things that aren't traditional, I do use both. But the finger vibrato is one of the most lovely things about the open-hold instruments, the whistle and the flute, yeah.
Anybody else?
Want to play?
Yeah.
Whenever you were working with, just, this smattering of Irish musicians that you were with, did you ever work with percussionists?
Yeah, occasionally. Percussion is really my weak point, but I did work with some bodhrán players. The bodhrán is the traditional Irish skin drum, frame drum. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like that. Yeah. That's most of my pieces. That's the thing that I fall down on the most. I really do need to work with percussionists to work on that side of it because it's just not my. It's not my.
Yeah, I could really
forte.
hear a full drum kit going behind some of that.
Some of that, yeah, sure, yeah. I've tended to I've written music a long time and been in lots of different sort of combos playing that, and I've tended to work away from a kit sound and use people, like lots of djembes and native percussion ethnic percussion from different places. I did my rock and roll, and while I love that for the music that I write, I like the flavors and the textures that you can get from other percussion. Yeah.
What about Art Bear?
We play another piece? Yeah.
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 Okay.
We'll play a short
Yeah.
piece.
We'll play.
Well, we're just at the end of this tour. I live in Vermont and come over. This is the second time I've toured with Laura, and we've got another two more gigs to do. One in Duluth and one up at Hoveland, just south of the border of Canada. And then I'll go back to beautiful Vermont, and I've got a really nice little studio set up. I'm actually working on orchestrating the Fire Ice Suite. I would love it to be played with a full orchestra and, you know, chorus of thousands and the whole thing. But anyway, that's I'm in the process of doing that, and I'll be coming back, it seems, in spring next year, and we'll do another tour around this way. Earlier this year, my wife and I, we lead tours to Ireland, and we play the FireEye music at the sites in Ireland. So we did that in April and May this year. I think we're having a little break from that day. So that's it. And I design and make musical instruments and sculptures and stuff. So I've just finished making a musical park bench. So I'm going to try and get that into a few parks and things.
You might see one or two of those in Minnesota.
Yeah, all going well. It's happening. Okay, we'll play a shorter tune. This is a piece that I wrote. It's the first tune that I wrote when I decided I was living in Ireland. Up until about 4 or 5 months of being there, I kept thinking I was going back, but I didn't. And this is called Ardbear. It's the name of the area that I lived in when I first stayed there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.